Well, first of all, when you guys come out to a game, because I know the media has just been waiting to get out there for a lot of things in TV. First of all, the press box is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be state of the art. So in the past, the radio booth people pretty much had to share the same chair and the same mic and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, it's going to be unbelievable for that. But the stadium was made with a couple of things. My number one, first and foremost, it's for the student athletes. It's going to provide us with an opportunity to train at the highest level possible. There's certainly unbelievable stadiums in the SEC, but nobody is going to have a better setup when you take the stadium and the new indoor facility into consideration. So it's going to allow us to prepare, and it's also going to provide them an opportunity to really be more efficient with their time, so we continue to have a high GPA and all those things, which is, why these athletes still go to school, is so that they can, get a degree and a great job and donate back to the university. So, that's going to be unbelievable. So it's for them. It's going to be great for recruiting. And finally, for our fans, we've had an unbelievable fan base the last couple of years, and they've come out in droves, and we've been putting up temporary bleachers and all sorts of things. So now we finally have a stadium that's going to match the people who work here and the fans that come out and watch us play every day. So I'm very excited that we're entering this time period.
Coach, talking a little bit about the freshmen, you have 8 freshmen. Talk about who you might be able to have an impact for you.
Oh, a quick impact. I think they're all going to make an impact. I think that athletically, this is certainly top to bottom the most gifted class we've brought in. You certainly have to look at Silver Samuel. She is by far the fastest person I've ever coached. And other than Nikki Jones, who I didn't have an opportunity to see live, I think she'll be the fastest player who's ever played here. Along with her, Darrington Richardson is also incredibly fast. So I think we're going to add some speed, to complement Cara Dill and our aggressive base running style. So I think that's awesome. And then you have to look at our infield has certainly gone through a transformation. So, 3 or 4 of them will go in there. Christian Stokes is probably one of the best softball players I've ever seen athletically. Macy Steed is incredibly heads up. Nikki Sagerman is probably one of the best young hitters I've ever seen. And then you have to look at Ansley Smith. She can do it all. She's a great middle infielder. She's a great hitter. And then you have to look at our pitching. We have 2 outstanding pitchers who came in as freshmen. So I think they're once they figure out how to do things and they learn a little bit from Lauren and Ellen, I think they're going to be able to solidify. So I think we've got it all covered in the infield and the outfield with that group. So, I'm not sure who's going to start starting day, but I anticipate there'll be 4 or 5 new kids in the starting lineup on day 1.
Coach, what gives you confidence in Lauren Cumbus and filling in for one of the greatest, pitchers that's ever come through this program, and Chanda Bell?
Well, you certainly can't discredit everything that Chanda Bell did here. She changed Kentucky softball forever, which was very cool. But, Lauren is awesome. She's probably one of the best athletes I've ever coached. And I've got a great story with her. I remember when I was recruiting Lauren, and she is probably the easiest going person I've ever met. And she's like, I just want to pitch in college, and, that's what everyone thinks I'm going to do. And I remember I was like, yeah, you're a great pitcher. I would tell her anything she wanted for her to come here. So I'm like, you want to pitch? You can be a pitch. You would go for it, And then I remember her senior year, I went out to a high school game, and I pulled up to the field, and there she is batting third, and the first pitch she took over the wall. And then the second pitch she took, it was a changeup, and she took it to center field fence. And I was like, why don't you want to hit in college? She's like, oh, I don't know. People told me I wouldn't have enough time. And it's funny because she is probably one of the best athletes that has ever come through here. And what gives me confidence her is not only that she's a superior athlete, but, she's proven that she can do it in the national stage. Last year, I would argue at the beginning of the season, she was our top pitcher, and then she certainly showed it when she played Georgia when she no-hit them. That's a very rare thing. So when she's had her opportunities to get in there, she's been outstanding, but she's such a good first baseman, and we had such a good pitching staff before that we've kept her on the field. So actually, she's a pretty well-kept secret.
You think she's going to do both this year? Is that the plan, to have her do both when she's not pitching?
Oh, yeah. She'll, assuming she's healthy and everything, she'll do both. Yeah.
Who will continue to try to build the program? Where do you feel like you are in that process right now?
Wow, there's a good question. 2 years ago, we were one game away from the World Series. So for us, there's really only one place to go, which is the World Series. And like all teams at Kentucky, we want to win the SEC championship. But it's actually a lot harder to win the SEC championship than it would be to go to the World Series, as proven by how many SEC teams go to the World Series. So I think those are our 2 ultimate goals. Where I think we are, we've made it to 4 straight postseasons. And if if I would have made a different decision that one day, I think we would have been in the World Series already. So I think we're certainly up there. I think we can do it again. I just think right now at the beginning of the season, we're fortunate, unlike football where you can afford to, we can schedule really hard teams right off the get-go and see where we're at. And from there, I think we can really come up with a good game plan. And assuming we keep our, confidence up and our wits about us, I think that we're going to be right there in the postseason again, knocking on the door for the World Series.
Coach, talking about going on the road for 20 games of the season, and also this weekend to play Cal and Arizona State as well.
Well, you never want to go on the road for the first 20 games. First of all, it's nice sleeping in your own bed. And second of all, we do have an unbelievable fan base, which you can start to see that the SEC home field advantage is really starting to take effect the last couple of years in the sport of softball. And that's also why I'm excited about the new stadium, because we'll be able to host next year. You'll see our schedule is going to be a little different, and that we can host a couple of tournaments at our own field. With that said, as softball players, we don't know anything but traveling. So it's going to be difficult, but it's a lot of fun too. And, it's 70 degrees in Arizona, and I'm pretty sure I was freezing when I was driving here. So, we're gonna love being in the weather, and our team's so easy to travel with and easy to get along with. So we'll just have to take care of our bodies and keep our minds right. But we're pretty excited. But we'll be really excited to get back here March 6th.
Athleticism seems to keep coming up when you're talking about your players. Has that been a conscious effort, and what does that do when you have a more athletic team like that?
Yeah, it has been a conscious effort for us. First of all, I think that Coach Himes is an unbelievable offensive coach. So, yes, she understands hitting skills and mechanics, but I think when you talk about offense, you have to talk about the whole thing in terms of base running and situational hitting. And if we can go out and we can recruit more athletic people, then we're able to do more things offensively. And I believe in the past, what's kept us, we are really good at keeping the runs down, or we have been in the past. But if all of our games were within a run or two, and that's given me a heart attack. So if we can, in order to have a more impactful offense, we definitely had to bring in more speed, and we had to bring in more power and just athletic people in general. So that was a focus of ours when we went out recruiting. And I think you can see the results of those recruiting efforts with this freshman class.
How important is getting off to a strong start for you guys, even though you will be on the road? Last year, I guess it was a slower start than I'm sure you would have wanted. It's a fast start. Important for you guys because obviously after that slow start, you guys made up some ground and ended up getting back into the tournament. What's the importance of that?
Well, it's really important for a couple reasons. Number one, if those of you who followed us last year, I don't know if you realize this, but we had to win the very last game of our season to be eligible for postseason play because you have to have a 500 record. So Chanda Bell on senior day threw a no-hitter against LSU, and Brittany Cervantes had an unbelievable offensive weekend to get that done. So that is nerve-wracking. So first and foremost, you have to make sure for postseason play, we had a very high RPI, but you have to make sure you have a 500 record. So that's something that you're always pushing for when you play in a conference like the SEC. And I don't think that a lot of people understand that that's the goal because our RPI is so high. So anytime you put your neck out on the line against a Cal or a Washington or an Oklahoma, you're putting that at risk. I mean, it would certainly be easier for us to schedule a little bit lighter, but if that were to happen, I don't think we would be ready for Alabama and Florida and LSU. So it's important to us, number one, we have one team goal, and that's to win softball games. Number two, we've got to make sure we have a 500 record at the end of the year. But most importantly, we've got to get prepared for the SEC. We're hosting the SEC tournament, and we'd like to be a high seed in that tournament.
With just two seniors, are you worried about finding people to step up, or do you feel like, you got a team full of leadership?
I believe we have an entire team full of leadership. I do believe that our captains are outstanding captains. We have three, in Cumbus, Dill, and O'Brien. With that said, I believe that there are a number of people on our team that step up in different situations. I think that Ginny Carroll has provided awesome leadership for us. I think that Emily Jolly, who's made the switch to the outfield this year, has done a nice job solidifying the outfield. So I think that we have great leadership. I also think that, I'm pretty fortunate in that this program, year in and year out, we have brilliant student athletes. They're good in the classroom, they're good on the field, and they're blue-collar, level-headed people. So even the ones that are sophomores, like Griffin Joyner, are very mature for their age, and they provide leadership at the things that they're good at. So I'm not worried from the standpoint that we only have two seniors because what everybody provides collectively is pretty special.